So if you've watched any of my videos, you would have heard me talk a lot about love, and that it truly is the key to everything. And of course, I always preface by saying unconditional love, not the human love or lust as it is interpreted and bastardized by our distorted perceptions and by the chemicals that come up in us when it comes to the union of two individuals. Now, the reason why love is the single most important ingredient and factor to every aspect of your reality is because love, unconditional love, is the essence of who you are. If I were to define what is the experience of God, of being one with God, I would tell you that it's unconditional love, because that's exactly what it is. So love, unconditional love, is God, the oneness, the quantum field, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And so unconditional love is the experience of that. And that's the whole purpose and whole point of life. You see, a lot of people in the personal development movement get upset because they don't like it when people teach people to go to the ideal of you can be happy and you can feel total love and you can be in bliss and you can find peace and be everlasting and forever. And I agree with that to a certain degree, because a lot of people avoid the process of getting to that destination. But to deny that that destination exists is an absolute 100% lie. It is important to know that there is a demarcation point in life, in your unfoldment, in your evolution, in your healing process, where eventually you will find peace, true peace, where you will find true love, unconditional love for self and for everything. Because when you have that, you have the peace. When you have that, you are God. It's when the synchronicities happen. It's when the magic happens. And it's not that it doesn't happen before that, but when you're in that experience, you become the creator. You realize yourself as who you truly are and who you were born to be. It's no greater work, no greater important thing, because then this world quite literally becomes the illusion that it actually is. You actually see it for what it truly is. And then you're able to manipulate your reality. But the irony is you're not actually manipulating anything, because when you're in a state of unconditional love, there's nothing to manipulate. You just luxuriate in the isness of being who you truly are, which is love, unconditional love. You're your God self, right? And then the world revolves around you. And the universe, because you're on the same frequency, or at least raising your vibration to a frequency that is as close as possible to the source of all of existence, then of course things are going to start happening and manifesting. And then of course your dreams are going to come true. And then of course your life is going to be like a rocket ship. But to focus on anything outside of self and to put that as your priority over this is putting the brakes on and slowing it down. Every single time you focus on anything outside of self for validation, for manifestation, for creation, other than enacting what you're supposed to do, right? Because we are in the physical body. Don't misunderstand what I am saying here. It must involve action. You're in this physical body, okay? It always involves action, but it's taking guided action. It's allowing the universe to bring to you circumstances and situations that you act on that will accelerate what it is that you're wanting to create and manifest in your life, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, the universe doesn't care, nor does it judge what it is that you want to create in your life. But if it's not in alignment with who you truly are and who you were born to be, you will never, ever be able to attain the pinnacle of your life, of your existence, of what is possible. It's not possible because you're mitigating it. So the number one focus and the number one priority for any individual ideally is to get all the non-love from out of your experience. And that has to come from within, from all the pain, all the trauma, all the conditioning, all the programming, all the belief systems, everything that has been taken on. Now, here's the kicker. It's not just taken on in this lifetime, but we're talking about stuff that's in your DNA, in your genetics, in your consciousness, based on many different lifetimes and experiences that you have had and that you borrowed from and took as part of this embodiment in order to create this avatar, in order to create this framework, this personality, these traits, whatever they are. And they are perfect for each and every single individual, no matter what it looks like, what it feels like, what demographic, what geographic location. It actually really doesn't matter, because our tenure on this planet is temporary anyway. And we all go through different experiences. So just because somebody in this experience at this particular time in your mind may look, OMG, I wish I had that. I wish I had looked like that. I wish I had this. I wish that, blah, 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 which is just falling into the illusion, self-judgment. It's a trap. It's buying into the illusion, because in this lifetime that might be the case, but you don't know what they were previously. You don't know what you're going to be in your next lifetime. You have no idea. But the truth is, if you focus on love and becoming the best possible version of yourself, the best possible human being that you are capable of, and understanding that in that process of all that non-love coming out, that will knock you around, that you will fall and scrape your knees at times, and that the best and the worst of you will be exposed. If you understand that, and you don't judge it, and you don't criticize it, but you let it come out, and you let it rip without, as best as you possibly can, inflicting it on other people, meaning that, let's just say, a whole bunch of anger starts coming up inside of you, then to not project that onto another individual or onto your children or onto your spouse as best as you possibly can. And if you do, make amends, clean it up, revoke it, remove it. You have infinite power at your disposal, but it has to come out. You've heard me say this before. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotion is the key to manifestation. It's the key to the whole of the human experience. Any repression of emotions, any repression of anything at all, goes against the very nature of creation. Your job is to allow everything that needs to come up, give it expression, healthy expression, and let it go. Because when you do that, when you give any aspect of self healthy expression, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, if it's negative in nature, it will leave you, and it will leave you permanently. But when you block that energy, then that's no longer energy in motion. That's now a block. And that's now constricting something inside of your physiology, inside of your aura, inside of your consciousness, that's going to limit you and hold you back from being all that you possibly can be. And then at some point, at a later stage, you'll have to release it anyway. It's what people don't understand. It's what people don't understand. We're encumbered by everything that we hold on to. And that's the reason why surrender or letting go is one of the primordial traits that every single spiritual master or illumined being that has ever walked this planet has taught and demonstrated. That no matter what is going on in the outer world, that they stay in that place of peace, in that place of love, in that place of joy. They may have moments of blips because they're still human and they're still evolving and growing, because there's an infinite amount of growth to be had, an infinite amount of experiences to be had on this planet. But because the majority of their consciousness on a cellular level is loving, it's moments and it's faster and it's easier, rather than the majority of humans that live in a fear-based consciousness, where the fear is what is the primary place that their consciousness goes back into. It's a foolproof system. It's a foolproof system. And it's simple because there's only one focus: love. That's it. So all you've got to focus on is, how do I love everything and everyone, especially myself, unconditionally? And where am I not doing that? And you go within in order to remove that and to accelerate that process. It's simple. It's not always easy, because there are mechanisms at play, programs at play, forces at play that are trying to hold us down in the lower frequency and the lower vibrations. And it's just the way the earth was designed. It had to be that way to be real, to make it even worthwhile to even have this experience. Because at the end of the day, on a soul level, we're here gaining experience. That's it. We're just here to have an experience. And the experience is to have an experience of ourselves. And as we grow, and as we evolve, and as we raise our vibration, we get to break out of the wheel of karma, as it's called, the wheel of reincarnation, and out of this denser, lower vibrational energy that has caused and has been the thorn in all of our sides, because it's the source of all pain and suffering. Non-love is the source of all pain and suffering. Anytime that you judge, anytime that you criticize, anytime that you have a negative thought, that lowers your vibration and it causes you pain and suffering somewhere in your life. And it's not a punishment. It's not because you did anything wrong or bad. It's just because you're lowering your vibration. And that lower, darker energy is harmful. And when you hold lower, darker, denser energy in you, then you're going to attract more of that to you, because like attracts like. You're at the same frequency. And that's the reason why when you raise your vibration and you summon more love into you, genuinely, unconditional love, and you live from that place, that's why you become inherently protected. It's why you sort of live in a bubble. And that's the reason why all of a sudden this world is not what I thought it was. It's something more. You see, so when people look at me or people listen to me and they think like, what's this guy talking about? Or they sort of understand it, but they sort of don't quite fully believe it. It's very simply because they haven't yet had the experience of it, you see. And so you might intellectually understand some of the concepts that I'm talking about, but I promise you with every cell of my being, that if you implement the stuff that I talk about, and you come to my live free reclaiming sessions, if you're able to, any of my courses and programs and anything else that I offer out there, it will help you accelerate. But the thing is that if you implement the things that I say, which ultimately is just summon more and more love into your life, unconditional love, and don't mistake that for anything that's material in the 3D world. Those might be gifts and blessings that you get as a result of the work that you do. But that's not the focus, and nor is that a measure of anything. Because if all you're feeling is good, hear me out here. If all you're feeling is good all the time, then you're not doing what I'm asking. Because if non-love is coming out of you, then you're experiencing that non-love coming out of you. So if you're not experiencing non-love coming out of you, and you're not experiencing the ups and downs and the roller coaster ride sometimes, which eventually over time decreases and eventually becomes nothing. And that's where you find that true peace, the true unconditional love. It's so funny because so many people out there think that they've healed all their wounds and all their issues and all of that sort of commentary that they make. And they haven't. I'm sorry. And I'm not being the bearer of bad news. I'm just speaking the truth. Because if you had, trust me, you would know. You would know unequivocally. You wouldn't question anything inside of self. And your heart would be so full, and there would be a peace inside of you like nothing you could ever comprehend. And that's why I say, you'll know. And I'm not saying I'm there, okay? Please do not misconstrue anything I say to be me claiming that I have attained anything at all. I am just talking from my own experiences of having experienced for brief periods of time true illumination with no substances whatsoever, and having walked with, lived with, trained with spiritual masters and truly illumined being, and having witnessed many of them in my travels and spent time with some of them. When you put all that, when you put yourself, when people talk about self-care as an example, this is self-care. This is true self-care, is to meditate instead of watching TV. That's true self-care. Is to eat real, whole, natural, unprocessed foods instead of a pizza. That's self-care. It's not going to the spa and all of that. Like, I know a lot of people out there that self-care is, I'm just going to go have a spa day. And then that's their self-care. And it's like, and it's not to knock a spa day, right? Everybody needs a spa day once in a while here and there. But I know people where that's their career, all right? Every weekend is a spa day, okay? And they're not meditating. They're not journaling. They're not doing the work on themselves. They're just living in the 3D world, and then they just call themselves spiritual because it's cool, and because they go to a few yoga classes and sit down for 10 minutes every couple of days and close their eyes and pretend like they're meditating. I have to be harsh because there's a lot of self-delusion going on, and I have a vested interest. I don't care if I upset people, number one. Number two is someone's got to speak the truth, because a lot of people, there's very few people out there that are speaking the truth. And my vested interest is that the more that people lie to themselves and pretend that they genuinely are doing the work and that that's their true focus. I know so many healers and so many spiritual teachers that honestly, they'd be better off not doing anything. Now, water seeks its own level and everything is perfect at the same time, don't get me wrong. But again, I have to speak things that are true, because there is so much deceit out there, and people are doing things for money as their primary reason. They don't even believe that's the primary reason. They're doing it because they want notoriety, vanity, they want adulation, they want to be popular. And in some cases, like I said, they're self-delusional. Who cares who you think you are? Everyone's God. Everyone's equal. No one's ahead. No one's behind. Did you hear what I just said? No one's ahead. No one's behind. Everything and everyone is exactly where they need to be. Now, you might say that me saying that is contradictory to what I just said. And it would be if I was judging people. I'm not judging people. I'm just speaking the truth because you need to hear it if you're watching this or listening to this. Enough's enough. I love the fact that spirituality and a lot of these concepts have become commercialized as far as they're a part of the mainstream. But what I do not like is the bastardization of it all. It's hurting and harming individuals. And people are teaching all sorts of tools and tactics, in some cases unwittingly too. Like, some people don't know that they don't know. But that's my whole point. That if the focus was on healing the self, you would evolve into what it is that it's meant to be, and you would take it to its highest level. But you can only do that when the focus is on healing the self, working on the self constantly. And if you're not teaching people how to do the same thing, then you're just teaching shit, to be quite frank. It's like all these people teaching activating the third eye, manifest this, and activating this, and do that, and you'll have this, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And it's all this frivolous distractions that yield placebo results for those that do get results, and it entraps you, because ultimately, with a little bit of practice, everyone can learn to meditate. And you don't need all these guided meditations. You don't need all these recordings. You don't need all these things to get in the way of that. Now, these things may help you get to a place of being able to meditate. But see, this is the whole thing, is that the tools that are out there, whether it's psychedelics, whether it is guided meditations, whether it is pharmaceutical drugs, even in some cases, right? Because if someone is so far gone in their anxiety and depression and their mental health, then that might be a viable and the best solution that's available to them. But it's about these tools, that they're just tools. I'll give you an example. I have to hang a picture up on my wall, and I need a hammer and a nail to knock it in there, and then I hang the picture on the wall. When I'm done knocking the nail into the wall and I hang the picture up, it's done. I don't need to continue grabbing another nail and hammering it in the wall, and then grabbing another nail, hanging it into the wall. It only took one nail to hang the picture up on the wall. But I'm not just going back into my toolbox and just grabbing and boom, and boom, and boom, and boom, and then never actually hanging the picture up, because I'm still knocking in another nail in the wall. That's what people are doing with spiritual tools and techniques in this personal development industry. They're teaching people all these things, and then people keep doing them and doing them and doing them far beyond the benefits that they were receiving originally. And they are self-deluded to even think that they might still be getting benefits, but they're not, because they're still seeking, right? They're still looking for answers, because they still don't have what it is that they're seeking, because everything they're seeking is outside of self, and really all it is that they're really seeking is love inside of self. And none of those tools is going to help you realize that. They will open you up, potentially, if you're guided to them. But why not just go within and then be guided to wherever it is that you need to be and whatever it is that you need to do, rather than be just, like I know people that they discover ayahuasca or mushrooms and other types of plant medicine, and then they're just doing it over and 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 over again. And the question is, well, if it's working, why do you need to do it over and over and over again? Like, they get to a point where they don't even realize that they're not actually making progress anymore. It's self-delusional. It's no different than an addict. It's an addiction. It's the same with guided meditations. Like, people think that they discover a guided meditation, it's going to help them sleep. And it works, but then they just keep using it and keep using it and keep using it and keep using it. And they never learn to just sleep on their own. Or they never find another tool or tactic or something that will actually take them to the next level, which might be going within. I don't know. I share this because I don't hear many people talking about this sort of stuff. And it's sad because not only do I know it and not only do I see it, but I've been a victim of the same thing. I was just as delusional. So don't get me wrong when I'm saying this sort of stuff, that it didn't and doesn't apply to me. But heck, if I didn't waste so much time fooling around and not having my priorities straight, and in some ways being self-delusional, who knows where I could have been at. Now, at the same time, it's all perfect. I made the decisions that I did based on where I was at. You see, that's the whole thing. You can't judge yourself. Judging yourself is terrible, because if you would have been capable of making another decision, which I guess we all are at the end of the day, always capable, but you didn't make that decision. So therefore, you actually weren't capable. So therefore, to judge that is ridiculous. Just don't do it again. And make that commitment to self. And if you still fall back into it, then you're just not ready. And that's okay. Or you're missing something. Or you're going to look for a better solution. Something that will help you. Something that will work for you. There are so many great teachers out there at the same time, right? Is not knocking all the teachers. I'm talking about the majority of the crap that's out there. People are feeding each other's wounds and feeding each other's delusion, because like attracts like. All you need to do is seek out some true, real spiritual masters. And maybe read some of their books. Maybe immerse yourself in some of their teachings. And then you might go like, no, they don't teach about money. Everything that they teach is all simple, back to basics. Ultimately, about love. Why? Because that's all that matters. Because of everything that I said at the beginning. So, thank you for listening, and there'll be more, a lot more. Be sure, please, to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you can to let people know, okay? It's the only way that I can get exposure is through you. So please help me out and comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if I upset you. Let me know what upsets you. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know what you would like. Ask questions. Engage with me, please. I can talk about anything. I can talk about anything. I can talk about any topic. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Or you can pay for one of my courses or programs or coaching or whatever it is that you want. I don't care. If you want to pay for it, go ahead. There's stuff that you get in my paid courses and programs that are very practical, step by step. Stuff that I can't necessarily do in a 20-minute recording. But you can ask questions. You can engage with me. I promise you, I won't say who you are. I won't, trust me, I'm a teddy bear. I'm a teddy bear at the end of the day. I really am. Really am. I truly am. But on these videos, sometimes I just gotta. Man, if you guys knew what I went through in my training in the ashrams and throughout my trainings, the crosses I had to bear, the scars that I still have in some cases, the difficulties. My guru used to rip into me. You think a military boot camp is anything compared to some of what I went through at the hand of my guru? And people might go, really? Like, why? Because sometimes people need tough love. People need parenting. And sometimes the ego needs to be cut down a little bit and bruised. If you look at the best teachers that you ever had or that you ever learned from, they're always the ones that pushed you. They're always the ones that pushed you out of your comfort zone, that made you feel uncomfortable. And if you look back, they're always the ones that had the greatest impact on you and the ones that taught you the most. Not the mamby-pamby people that just tell you what you want to hear, which is what YouTube and social media and a lot of the courses and programs are out there. They're just feeding you the same stuff regurgitated from different books and different courses and programs that they took from different teachers and different people and blah, 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 blah. It's all just the same stuff repackaged in different ways. And then I've seen people actually even comment, they'll in different courses and programs and go, this is, or even reading a book, this is the same as what I see on YouTube, or this is, what do you think everyone's doing? Now they're just using Chat GPT to do it for them, but everyone's just copying each other. But the interesting thing is that few people are actually speaking the real truth, because how can you speak the real truth if you haven't lived it and experienced it yourself? Very few people out there actually really legitimately trained with legitimate spiritual masters. I'm talking about people potentially on the level of Jesus and Buddha and so forth when they were embodied. People have no understanding of what enlightenment and illumination truly is, or what self-mastery is, or what unconditional love is, or what healing actually is. Or that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. There never has been. There never will be. You just got to get the normal out of you. That's it. That's all of healing in a nutshell. And when you do that, fixes the mental, the emotional, the physical, and your access to the spiritual. That's it. That's as difficult as it gets. Thank you for listening. Oh gosh. I crack myself up sometimes. I don't know if I'll put this up. Obviously, if I do, I'm not going to cut this bit out. But I don't know if I'm going to put this sort of stuff out, because I don't know if people want to hear this, people can handle it, or if people just see it as just being entertaining or not. I truly hope that someone out there hears what I say and takes all of this to heart and implements it in their lives and experiences what I'm talking about, experiences the love, the truth, the acceleration and the manifestation in ways that they could not even possibly even comprehend and imagine, or that anyone can comprehend and imagine unless they're experiencing it. That's the irony. But so many people don't believe it. So many people, this is just entertainment. Great, I get to see Zim wave his hands around and say some crazy, kooky, funny sort of stuff that sounds awesome, and then they just go back to their daily lives and just keep doing whatever it is that they were doing before. And then maybe one little change here, one little change there, but that's great too. Sometimes you have to take things in bite-sized ways. Otherwise, you set yourself up for failure. But anyway, thank you.